So to briefly explain my platform, I guess we should just really go back to what the true nature of USG is. What should it really do? Um, in terms of its capabilities, it may do a lot of things. It can do a lot of things. But the question is, where should it focus on? And this is the thrust of my platform, which is for the USG to refocus. Refocus on what? Its roles and really go back to its true nature of why it's existing. And how can it refocus? By three, perhaps, sub thrusts of my platform, which are first, representing you, spotlighting others, and bridging all. So representing you, what does this mean? The USG has that capacity to really represent all the students because that's their true nature, which is to be the supreme student representative body. However, somehow the students don't really get to feel that the USG is really there for them. And I feel that it's, the USG really needs to connect and engage with the students on a more personal and grounded level so that the USG, along with the students, can really identify what are the real issues and concerns that need to be addressed. By doing that, by being the representatives of all the students, then it can move on in spotlighting others. Spotlighting others meaning the USG has the capability to encourage, support, and empower all the students, not just individual students, but even more so the student organizations and student groups that we have in our university. Perhaps if you would ask how can the USG spotlight others, well, simply by also sharing the light. Because we have this notion that if we're the USG, we seem to stand on a pedestal. Perhaps because that's true. We are the supreme student representative body. But then again, it shouldn't always be the case. Kumbaga, bida ang USG, pero hindi dapat laging bida ang USG. Dapat ibinibida rin niya ang lahat ng student organizations and groups and even the individual students, especially by recognizing their efforts and initiatives and also providing activities and programs for the students. And by being able to achieve those first two things, then the USG can move on in bridging everyone. Especially now that the integration is already in place, it's more important that the USG would really be that you should really be able to connect and engage with all the students so that we will really have a greater sense of our Lasallian identity, that it shouldn't be exclusive, rather it should be inclusive in such a way that we recognize all the different sectors inside our university. Most especially yung mga hindi natin masyadong nabibigyang pansin at yung hindi masyadong nare-recognize. At sino itong mga to? Ito yung mga security guards, mga janitors, yung mga maintenance people, yung mga canteen people who, in one way or another, we can also extend our help also in perhaps helping address also their issues. So with that, that is my platform. So my vision is for the USG to refocus by representing you, spotlighting others, and bridging all. Thank you. Actually, Kyle already addressed the same issue that I feel is also the most necessary issue that the UC needs to address, which is representation. And perhaps as with the USG being the supreme student representative body, it really has to be able to connect and engage with the students on a more personal and engaged level, more personal and grounded level for that. I'm sorry, but again, the notion of the students is that if we ask them, what is the USG doing for you? Or how do you see the USG? What would they respond? Sasabihin nila, wala namang ginagawang USG para sa atin. Which I, as a former officer of the USG, it somehow also actually saddens me because I was former part of the USG and I have friends and colleagues who are currently in the USG who are also doing their efforts. So perhaps for us to really address that representation issue, I feel that this coming school year, the USG really needs to go to the students, to really talk to them, have conversations with them so that we can really identify what are the real issues and concerns that they have perhaps the most concrete thing that the USG can do is at the beginning of every term, during the first week, pupuntahan ng USG ang lahat ng student organizations, student groups, and even individual students to really ask them and engage them with a conversation and ask them ano ba talagang issues and concerns na gusto nyong i-address ng USG. Because only then can the USG really know what it can do for the students. Thank you. I believe that this general election should be more than just a campaign. Rather, it's also about starting conversations with each and every one of us here. And I believe that real change and for us to be the hope that we hope that we want to be, it really begins in these conversations. And if I am not given the opportunity to be elected as the USG president, then I would still continue having conversations with all the students so that we can really know what are the issues and concerns that they really have. And from there, it shouldn't stop me, it shouldn't hinder me from also working with the elected officers of the USG. Because at the end of the day, we have to realize that we are one Lasallan community and that we should really work together so that we can have a better Lasallan community. Thank you. I believe that somehow the UC has to be realistic. It's also the administration who really pushed also for the integration, and we also have to realize that in terms of its function and if it's really functioning already, it's not yet really maximized and utilized as it has to be. In terms of also siguro po no yung sa number of students din po. If we just have to be realistic that if since it's an executive board position, all the students will have to vote, and if students from STC will be the ones to go to Manila and perhaps also present themselves, they might not have that equal opportunity to really be recognized, primarily because they aren't really yet immersed in the Manila campus and aren't known yet in the students in Manila. So I think this is a step first that there is a representation for STC in the USG in terms of it being in the same level as the college president in Manila. But I feel that as the years go by, once the full integration will really be there, then the, I'm pretty sure the administration will and even the USG eventually will also push that even students from SCC can and will have the capability and capacity to run for an executive board position.